Moving on to my thoughts on Justin Fields' first NFL preseason game. He was the best rookie quarterback from this past weekend. I mean, he started out pretty slow in the first half, okay, but after halftime, oh my goodness, he was fantastic. He finished the game 14 of 20 passing for 142 passing yards. He threw a touchdown. He also had 33 rushing yards, a rushing touchdown on 5 carries. Like, I was really blown away by how Justin Fields performed, and there are a lot of Bears fans who were saying that Justin Fields should be the starter. Now, of course, there's two sides to that spectrum. You're going to have the people out there who are going to say, well, he shouldn't be the starter because he wasn't going against the first team defense. He was going against second stringers and third stringers, mostly guys who aren't going to make the roster, and that is true. But the downside of the people who make that argument and say that Justin Fields going against second stringers and third stringers, you also got to remember that Justin Fields played really well with second stringers and third stringers on the offense. So although he was going against backups, he was playing with backups also. So people who say that, I think they're kind of hypocritical because, yeah, they may be going against second and third stringers, but they're also playing alongside of second and third stringers. It's not like Justin Fields was playing with starters for the whole entire game that he was in. He was playing with seconds and third stringers also. So I want to see Justin Fields play with the ones, and I also don't want to overreact to his first preseason game. I want to see what he does this week as well, but he definitely was really impressive. I saw good decision making. I saw him go through his reads really consistently, which was a big knock on Justin Fields. And on top of that, I saw some creativity from Matt Nagy when it came to the play calling with Justin Fields, which is something that you don't really see that often when it comes to the preseason. Most of the time, you don't really see a lot of creativity in the preseason. You just see a lot of coaches calling, basic plays just to give everybody a chance to show what they can do. But Matt Nagy, his play calling with Justin Fields, or whoever was calling the plays for Chicago in this game, it was fantastic with how they utilized Justin Fields. They were running bootlegs. They were finding out ways to get Justin Fields involved in the run game. Like, I was really impressed not only with Justin Fields, but with the way that the Chicago Bears play calling suited Justin Fields. And that's how you win with a quarterback in the NFL. You see, there has never been a quarterback that was drafted in the first round that was a bust with a great coaching staff. So with the Chicago Bears right now, I still expect Andy Dalton to be the starting quarterback. Now, even if Justin Fields does perform really well, I still think that they're pretty hell-bent on not starting Justin Fields right away. And I still believe that the Chicago Bears can have success with Andy Dalton or Justin Fields. A lot of people are going to say Justin Fields gives them the best chance to win. But as of right now, Andy Dalton, you can still win games with Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton is definitely an upgrade from Mitchell Trubisky. And for all of you guys who disagree with that statement, I'm not about to go back and forth with you in the comment section. I'm just going to say, maybe you should get drug tested if you believe that, but I'm not going to waste my time on you because you're either a troll or maybe you're just a diehard Mitchell Trubisky fan. But nonetheless, I was really impressed with Justin Fields. And if he plays good in this upcoming preseason game this week and has another lights out performance like last week against the Miami Dolphins, then you're definitely going to start hearing rumblings of Justin Fields pushing Andy Dalton for that spot. But for right now, I'm still believing that Andy Dalton is going to be the starter. I think Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy are pretty firm on that stand. They have said this multiple times throughout the offseason, ever since they traded up for Justin Fields, that they plan on starting Andy Dalton right away. And I don't think Andy Dalton is going to play bad enough that he's going to get benched. The only way I really see Andy Dalton getting benched this year for Justin Fields is if one goes down with an injury and Justin Fields just comes in and he takes over, or the Chicago Bears start the season out slow. Maybe they start out, 2-5 or 2-6 or something like that. Similar to how the Joe Flacco, Lamar Jackson situation played out a couple of years ago. Remember, the Baltimore Ravens were in the thick of the playoff race. You had Joe Flacco who went down for injury. They started Lamar Jackson, and even when Joe Flacco was healthy, they still rolled with Lamar because how he performed. He galvanized the team. So for Justin Fields, I'm still under the assumption, no matter how well he plays during the preseason, I still think Chicago is going to play it safe and that they're going to keep Andy Dalton as the starting quarterback this year. Now, my personal opinion, honestly, if I was in the shoes of Matt Nagy, I would start Justin Fields. Okay, now I'm not saying Justin Fields, is better than Andy Dalton. I'm not trying to make any crazy claims or anything like that. But I just feel like with Justin Fields as the starting quarterback, you open up the playbook way more in terms of what you can do with him compared to Andy Dalton. Like with Andy Dalton, you're not limited as much as you were with, Mitchell Trubisky, but you are still a little bit kind of limited in terms of what you can call. Like, you can't use RPOs. I don't think you're going to be able to use, the crazy bootlegs that Justin Fields is capable of pulling off. But with Justin Fields, you can run read options, you can run RPOs, you can run a lot of play action bootleg. He also has a stronger arm than Andy Dalton. But if Chicago feels like Justin Fields isn't ready to play, then I understand that as well. Sometimes it's better to play it safe than play it aggressively, because if you throw Justin Fields into the fire too early, then he may struggle. And preseason is a lot different from the regular season. The game speeds up a lot. And that's what a lot of people are saying. They say don't overreact to the preseason, but you also got to remember, Russell Wilson dominated preseason. He started for Seattle and he was perfectly fine. Dak Prescott, was really good in the preseason for Dallas. And when Tony Romo went down and he had to start, he was really fantastic. So for me personally, I still want to see one more consistent game from Justin Fields playing how he did last week against Miami. And if he does, then hey, if he has two good preseason games, I'm going to say, hey, man, why not start Justin Fields? He's been really good during the preseason. But I definitely want to see him against the ones. But either way, for all you guys that use the argument and say that, well, JT was matched up against backups, you also got to remember that he was playing with backups as well.